So the one I originally saw was uh yeah, man, I can't remember the name of the channel. Oh, whatever. But this is by Minimal Effort Live. This one I didn't look through all of it, but I did skim a bit of it to see just to make sure like it had kind of the same information. At least it had the information from the shorter video that I watched earlier about it. So yeah, it does, and it looks like it has a little more too. So that'll be fun to dive into. But yeah, this is did IGN get busted fixing votes? The Black Myth Wukong, Black Myth Wukong keeps getting screwed by IGN. By Minimal Effort Live, it I mean, I like I said, I love Black Myth Wukong. In my opinion, it's game of the year. It is game of the year, but there is a lot of hate that goes to the game that doesn't really apply to the game itself. And I mean, the game is a piece of art. The cinematics, beautiful. The character design, amazing. The fights, and the choreography for them, love it. So I don't know. For me, it's game of the year. Obviously, for other people, it could be other stuff. There are other games that came out. I mean, I know Astrobot is a very popular game that a lot of people liked, along with Space Marines too. But IGN doesn't have those as number one though. So we're gonna look into this and yeah, give the true thoughts of an imbecile over here. Oh,
All right, guys, the
there we
year
go.
is rapidly
That
going
was
by,
weird.
so we are approaching the time that all the outlets tend to talk about the game of the year. And I don't think we can fairly have this discussion if we don't look at like the top selling games for 2024. And of course, the one sitting right there at the very top is Black Myth Wukong, a game that sold
Wukong! Monkey
over
Monkey.
18 million.
Monkey Madness is rampant. I mean, the amount of people that were playing it on the day that it came out was insane, and the amount of people that still play it. I mean, all you ever hear are really good reviews from gamers. They're just like, yeah, I enjoyed playing the game. Yeah, there are some like difficult bosses here and there, but in my opinion, that makes the game so much more fun because it's a good mix of. There were like 4 or 5 bosses that I beat on my first try, I think. The rest at least took me like 1 or 2 it took me at least like 2 or 3 tries to actually beat, and that I felt was, like, super fun because, it's not extremely hard, but it's not the easiest game. Some of the stuff you have to time right. You had fights like the Yellow Long, which, in my opinion, is still, I think, the 3rd hardest fight in the game. It depends on what you wanna do. If you do the 100 Eye Taoist Master without the needle, I think that would be harder than the long, but if not, if you use the needle, it's so much easier. So anyways.
Copies in just 2 weeks between PS5 and PC. And again, this game completely shattered records. It shattered Steam numbers. It has just become one of the most top played, most talked about games
Yeah,
currently
love
in
it.
the modern
Love
era.
this game.
And for good reason. And we've seen a lot of slop come out this year, a lot of really bad
A
woke
lot of bad
games, a lot of
games.
these things that the woke media wants you to go and play and say, oh, look how
The suicide flop of a game, like, oh my, it's so sad how many AAA games nowadays just honestly they don't listen to the fans. And it's the same with a lot of media. They don't listen to their fans. They don't listen to the people that actually love the series. They just make whatever because they think it might be good. They think, that we're going for the money, we're going for the general mass appeal rather than catering to the people that actually love the source material itself.
wonderfully
Wukong, I think, did a very good job at kind of doing both to a degree because people that don't know anything about like Journey to the West at all can still play this game and have a fuck ton of fun. And people who do know about Journey to the West, they see all the Easter eggs and all like the nods to it, and they're like, "That's so cool. That's awesome." It makes it so much more involved, I guess, or
diverse and
connected.
inclusive it is, but the reality is the games suck.
Yeah,
So Black Myth Wukong has been pushing the sales charts, has been
it's been
pushing the
doing
Steam charts,
numbers.
and it's actually
This is
led
an
to an
indie
increase
game.
in not just sales, but in total people playing games on Steam. If you look at it
Hmm.
right here, we hit 38.3.
Steam hits a new highest ever record for concurrent users. 38.3 million is the new record. That is wild. That is wild. Again, because I don't think this is just because of I don't think the 38.3 million is just because of Wukong. I think in this short amount of time, we had really good bangers come out. We had Wukong, we had Space Marine 2, and then we also had Astrobot. Those 3 games, they appealed to such a like, each one to a very particular sect of gamers, and those gamers ate. Those gamers fed were fed well by these, developers, and kudos to them, again, for making something that it's just loved. It's just such a good game that people just love it. It's not something that you play and you're, like, playing it to see what's wrong with it. You're playing it and you're just going for the experience itself.
Million people concurrently playing on Steam not too long ago. And a lot of that had to do with the success of
Wow.
Black Myth Wukong, a game that, as I
I
speak
do
right
think
now,
I
has
do think Black Myth
164,000
Wukong
people
did have a
playing it,
good
a
part to play,
concurrent
but
peak from the last
not the
24
only
hours
part.
of almost 500,000 people, and an all-time peak of 2.4 million people worldwide.
That is insane. Oh, jeez, dude. I mean, I was probably in one of these numbers I was definitely in this number here, but I'm wondering if I was in this number because I mean, I still play the game currently because it's a really fun game. Even after you beat it, it has good replayability. Like I said, with the new game plus, with the first new game plus that you do, you unlock all the mythical weapons that you couldn't do or couldn't get before. Or say you beat Earl Lang and you had his mythical weapon. I mean, you had it for the very last fight. Now you have it for the rest of the game. And you can play and do whatever you want with that stuff, along with upgrading and getting other armies that you didn't get before. Anyways, it is a lot of fun.
Like I said, absolutely shattered records. I think it's like the
Oh, brutal. That is so.
second highest peak of all time. All right, while we're talking about
Wonder if it'd
Black
be
Myth
Power
Wukong,
World.
I want to talk
Probably.
about the controller I've been playing this game on, the Beitong Zeus 2. Now, this controller they sent out to me to test out.
I wonder when did Power World come out? Because I don't know if that came out around the same time. Oh wow, that's a long. That explains why it's that explains why it's a little longer. It's because the ads.
For a good
2
controller
minutes.
for your PC or Nintendo Switch, I Dustborn games enough.
Yes.
And so, of course, we've
We'll leave
seen
it there.
games like Concord, games like Dustborn.
Oh,
games
Concord,
like,
dead on
oh
arrival.
my God, there's so many of them that we've talked about this year that are just.
I didn't even buy this game. I saw a couple like people play it, and I was like, yeah, I'm never gonna try this game. This game looks absolutely dookie.
These complete garbage trash games that. I mean, the Concord is probably the worst, given the fact that the player count
Yeah, it
just
is.
dwindled further
Probably
and further
worst
until
game
they
of the
finally
year.
pulled the plug on the game.
Well,
But you
debatable.
get the idea. These
There
are
are some
not
really
games
big
that did
stinkers.
anything for the games industry. It didn't do anything for the Steam chart numbers. It did nothing to push the Steam numbers
It did
up.
nothing for the company either.
While we're talking about Game of the Year, these are some games that should be considered worst games.
They 148 players right now. All time is 690. It hasn't even broken 1,000 players, dude. I wonder how much money they lost on this. They must have lost absolute millions making this and marketing it. All the fucking hype that just instantly went away. It is so sad to see a game like this just die so quickly.
Ever. Not just for
But it's also
2024,
funny
but like
too.
some of the worst games of
Like
all
that's what you
time.
get.
Speaking of Game of the Year,
This is what bothered me. Honestly, this is what kind of bothered me and like showed that IGN is kind of fixing shit here, at least in my opinion. How can they have for a game of the year? It's kind of hold on, it's hidden. Let me move this real quick. This is what's your game of the year? Game of the year. And currently Elden Ring's Shadow of Erdtree DLC. The DLC is number 1. That's not even a game, guys. How could you even count that in as an actual applicant to being a winner here? It's definitely the best DLC of the year. And honestly, if it came out as its own game or separate game, I guess it would actually be, it could be in the running, but this is a DLC. Elden Ring came out years ago, and you're putting the DLC added content in separately. Now, that's already biased because people love Elden Ring to begin with. So you're already going to get all the people that love Elden Ring. Then you're going to get all the people that love Shadow of Erdtree too, the DLC. It is wild that they would do something so so dirty, so conniving. This is just gross to see that something like this is, well, to see that they chose a DLC over other games. And I mean, that's literally just the fact of the DLC. I personally, I don't give a shit if Final Fantasy Rebirth is higher than Black Myth Wukong. Never played it. I have played Final Fantasy games before. They are fun. So I'm not mad about it. I'm not mad that a game like this could beat it. I'm not mad that a game like Astrobot or uh, Space Marines would beat it. But a DLC is fucking
We
wild.
have
It's not just a slight to Wukong down here, which is number 3. It's a slight to Final Fantasy too, because how can you have a DLC higher than a game that is an actual game that should be number 1 then?
IGN.
Oh,
Now,
it's so
their little,
disgusting.
head-to-head battles that you can sign up for and do. You can play the face-off. And interestingly enough, if you looked at this a day ago, Black Myth Wukong was sitting at the top, having won 90% of its
Yeah,
duel.
I saw that. I saw this too. The fact, well, yeah. Where literally over the course of a couple hours, it went from having 90% to being in the 70s, like low 70s. It dropped like 16%.
Currently at the top is Shadow of the Erdtree, which I think is a very good DLC. I would be
DLC.
remiss if I said that I think that it should be Game of the Year, given the fact
Uh-huh.
that it is a DLC and not a complete game on its own.
Facts.
But here they have it sitting at number 1.
Like facts. You can't have a DLC as Game of the Year. That just shows that you guys are not only biased, but that you're trying to almost cheat every other game out of it. It's almost like and not only does it look, in my opinion, does it start to look bad for IGN, but it does start to look bad for Elden Ring too. Not saying that they had any part to play in this, but the internet's the internet. You're obviously gonna get people that are crazy out there that'd be like, that might insinuate stuff like the developers or company that made Elden Ring are paying off ING to get number 1 spot for Game of the Year for their DLC. Like, that is it's a very shady tactic for IGN. Again, IGN. I think this is all IGN. I don't think the developers or the company that created Elden Ring or Shadow of Erdtree DLC, I don't think they had any part to play in it. But it makes them look bad too, because by association, by the fact that it literally does not make sense, that it causes questions like that to be posed, which obviously, in my opinion, would be wrong, but you can pose them. It's a free world.
With
Well, this is a free country.
3.6% of its duels won. Next, we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with 72.3%
Fun game.
won.
At least I can imagine it's a fun game. You know, Final Fantasy are fun games. Stellar Blade was an amazing game. Helldivers 2, another amazing game. Like, these games are the type of games that just kind of broke the internet and made people love gaming again. So it's kind of like, why would you diss them like this?
And at third, Black Myth Wukong with
I'm so heated.
68.2% of its duels won.
I'm so heated
Now, here's
from
where
this.
things get kind of fishy, okay?
Kind of. It's been fishy. It has been fishy.
Put out here, oh, yo, IGN, are you cheating?
IGN appears to manipulate user votes for Game of the Year to erase Black Myth Wukong's substantial lead. Look at these timestamps and vote counts. Wukong drops from 90% to 74% in the span of an hour. A fucking hour. And I'm pretty sure that hour, like, well, at least, no, I'm not even gonna. I want to know what time that was. You know what I mean? Like, they did this at least 5 a.m. when most people are asleep. Like, 5 a.m., dude. What the actual fuck? That is manipulation at its finest. Did IGN bot their own numbers?
IGN appears to
Did IGN bot their own numbers? That would be insane.
Manipulate user votes for the Game of the Year to erase Black Myth Wukong's substantial lead. Look at the timestamps and vote counts. Wukong drops from 90% to 74% in the span.
It was number 1.
Did this
It had been number 1 for a little while too.
At 5 a.m. when most are asleep. But look at Final Fantasy in the number 2 spot. It doesn't gain much at all. Same with Helldivers. So you see right here where it started off at 90.4% with 181,000.
And look where the DLC is. It's sitting at number 3. They've been including it. So I feel like this was something that they were planning from the beginning, if anything, because why would you It's not because if they just randomly put it there, obviously that would be really suspicious. But to put a DLC in there to begin with means that they were almost like wanting this to get up there and to be number one at some point. They just had it just was sitting at number 3 because the actual people that were voting were like, yeah, you have the people that glaze the Elden Ring DLC and all that, but you also have every other rational person that's like, wait a second, that's a DLC. That's not a game, guys. Yeah.
1,569 duels.
Also, look at the you can't really see it from the image, and I should just hide this for now. But so Elden Ring is sitting at 16, well, 100, 168,000. This still looks like a 6 down here. 169,000, 170,000, 191,000. That is either 191 or 181. Either way, each like interval it's jumping up an extra 10,000 or so votes. That's crazy.
Then with only 194,293, so it added 13,000 duels, it drops 5 percentage points. I mean, there are things that could explain that, but what happens is over time it progresses further and further.
Yeah,
to where
like a single drop is understandable. A continuous drop it makes no sense. It's irrational. It breaks the trend.
It just continues to drop, and yet none of the rest of these games see any significant increase in their duel numbers.
It's not like within this hour the game shut down and like everyone who played the game was having instant issues with it, you know? This is at 5 a.m.
Strange. Very weird how this worked out, okay? Seemed a little fishy. Now, of course, there are people that said, in fact, Wukong lost a large number of duels within 1 hour. However, the number of victories in other games didn't increase significantly. And of course, there's charts you can look through, but I'm not going to go through all of these.
I can. Well, at least not all of them, but 1% and 1% duels, 1% duels. So it is dropping, it looks like. But yeah, okay. I mean, I don't wait. It also showed wait.
In fact, Wukong lost a large number of duels within 1 hour. However, the number of victories in other games didn't increase significantly. And of course, there's
I wish this would go away. But anyways, so these are all different games. All right, so Black Myth Wukong is the first one. Yeah, so in these percentages, they stay the exact same. The only one that really drops, they literally all stay the exact same pretty much. The only one that's dropping and fluctuating is Wukong. I mean, that in and of itself seems kind of weird, doesn't it? Like what's beating out is because the win percentage would be going up. When in fact, it actually technically, Erdtree is changing, but it's going down. The win percentage is going down here. And the amount of duels it's doing. Yeah, I mean, it's increasing the amount of duels and it's losing more of them. This is keeping generally around the same number. Yeah, it doesn't go anywhere above 240,000. So, I mean, a couple, like when you're talking about hundreds of thousands, 1,000 change isn't that big of a difference. Same with all these. Well, these last couple ones actually did better. So, yeah, I think even this, I think if you look at this chart, it makes everything look a little iffy.
I'm not going to go through all of these. There are some better ways to explain it. For example, this chart right here, this guy says, while this looks like a limited data set, a 17% reduction in success rate across 4 hours is way too dramatic to be normal when it remains constant for the other games.
Yeah, exactly. See, that's exactly what I was just pointing out. The percentages are remaining the exact same for all the other games, yet somehow the percentage for Black Myth Wukong is dropping incredibly fast.
Bots, raid, or back-end manipulation would be my guess. Just an observation, don't know how they calculated for dual success either. And again, you see the chart.
That's
here,
another. That's
but the
another thing.
important thing to
They
note-
say duels. What are these duels, and who are they competing against? Like, imagine if Wukong is being dueled against not just Urchery, the Shadow of Urchery, but Elden Ring itself. You know, like if you're gonna set a duel against Black Myth Wukong versus Elden Ring's gonna win. Let's be honest. Yeah,
is
this
the progressive reduction in percentage of duels won by over 17.5% by Black Myth Wukong over 4 hours. Then you have the percent, however, remains consistent or even incremental for all the other games. So
exactly.
if Black Myth Wukong suddenly started losing all those duels against other games, why didn't the other top contenders go up? You see?
Hey, look at that. He just said what I said. I can read a graph. It's actually very sad because a lot of people can't read graphs that well. But if you read, I mean, just by looking at I don't know. It seems kind of easy to understand for me. But anyways, yeah, no, from what I was saying, if you're looking at this, so at the beginning it started at 90%, then it dropped to 84, 85, 85, 85, 83, 83, 82, and then it just keeps going down all the way to 72. Now, that is understandable. Granted, like you said, in the span of a time time span, that is extremely, extremely weird. That is almost like, again, I don't want to say, like, it's not a fact. It's not for certain. So this is allegedly, but allegedly it seems like bots. It seems like there are bots being played here to kind of generate numbers in a way that makes them look bad. So we're seeing this insane drop. And not only that, but we're seeing a drop in Urchery too. So how is Urchery going up to be #1 spot when the actual numbers, the percentage, I mean, it's a 0.1%, so there's room for error, there's a margin for error, but it's a 0.1% that shows a consistent drop to the actual win percentage that it's getting for these duels, which again, we don't know the metric and how they're scaling these, what they're dueling against and all this. But yeah, this is very sus. Same with oh wait, no, this is Urchery. Wow, I'm dumb. But wait, what's
You know
this
what I'm
one
saying?
then?
So
Oh, okay, so this is Final Fantasy. My bad. My bad. This has been Final Fantasy. But same with Urchery. It's the same thing with Urchery, I guess. Oh no, they've actually gone up. So then that makes sense. So Urchery is going up by, I mean, 1%, 2%, 3%. It went up by 3%. The amount of duels it's getting are more. So this is the only one. So these two do correlate in some way to the fact that this one is dropping. However, it's dropping extremely fast. This one is winning more, but it's not winning at that rate. So it's not like this one is going up directly against this one, it seems. And this is dropping. Yeah, so if this drops and this drops and this increases for Astrobot, actually. So Astrobot increases, but you have 3. Okay.
sure, there's the
I'm getting a better picture of what it's trying to display, but I still don't think that this is like, I still think this shows more proof to the fact that there might be some type of foul play here.
possibility that there was a chunk of people that played or that did the head-to-head duels and picked a random game over Black Myth Wukong. But for example, when I looked at the duels, when I did it, Black Myth Wukong went right up against it wasn't Space Marine 2. They had Stellar Blade against Space Marine 2. Black Myth Wukong, I think, was against No Rest for the Wicked or something.
No Rest. I didn't even play that game.
It's very strange that so many people
I didn't even hear
all
that.
of a sudden would say, "Oh no, I like this other random game better than Black Myth Wukong." It seems kind of fishy. And Rev says Desu here has a little bit.
This is all right. So Rev, thank you. I was blanking on the name, but yeah, this is the original video I watched of it.
More information on. I'm just gonna hit play for this real quick right now.
And you can see some very disturbing things
Rev.
here. You can see that the percent that Black Myth Wukong was getting dropped by about 16% in 1 hour at 5 in the morning. And this is IGN, right? They have a very big audience in North America. So 5 a.m., not a lot of people are voting on a poll. And you can see
IGN has a big audience in North America. They do have a big audience just worldwide too. Their biggest audience is in North America, however. like he's trying to say here. There are other people. I mean, IGN does have people from like Australia and shit like that that probably voted and everything. However, I don't think those numbers would cause that drastic drop unless there was like almost a reason for it.
Throughout this hour, Black Myth Wukong went from a 90% rating to 85% to 84% to 74%.
Right, that's something important worth noting. Why in God's name would anybody get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and all of a sudden mass, go on IGN's website and do this duel at 5 a.m.? It makes
that
no
is
sense.
so true.
They dropped 16% in 1 hour. Compare that to the other people or the other games in this poll, like Final Fantasy, where they remained at 71.5%, went down to 71.4%, then remained at 71.4%, and then concluded at 71.3%. They dropped.
See, I wish that they had shown the numbers for Elden Ring, the Erdtree DLC, because I think that is a very important piece in this puzzle that would help make a concrete case for whether they are basically trying to fudge these numbers or not. Because if we're seeing within that span of time, Elden Ring, the Erdtree is like kind of the only one that goes up, but they're only going up incrementally. Like say like I said, 10,000, going up 10,000, 10,000, 10,000, or was it 10,000? Yeah, something around 10,000. But Black Myth Wukong is going down by like 20,000, 15 to 20,000. Where's that extra 5,000 going?
0.2% over that hour, but Black Myth Wukong dropped by 16%. And this is what it initially looked like before all the shenanigans. So
all the shenanigans.
Black Myth Wukong won this poll, and IGN is absolutely
giving the good old rigmarole.
And they will continue apparently for a long time in the future because their hit piece did not work.
Oh
what
yeah,
you're talking about, of course.
Their hit piece did not work. I mean, in my opinion, I think that just made people look at IGN very poorly as a company. Because they're punching down. In my opinion, it kind of seems like a punching down situation, and a lot of the stuff that they did take and use was out of context. And they're gonna go into it.
Released last year. Again, this is what kicked
Black Myth Wukong. How Black Myth Wukong developers' history of sexism is complicating its journey to the West. See, exactly that.
Off so much of this drama.
I'm pretty sure it got
debunked.
Wukong,
where they wrote this article about game science, the developers behind Black Myth Wukong, basically calling them all sexist, misogynist, toxic people who hate women, and that again, we've covered this so many times. I don't need to go into detail. Long story short, though, I was looking through the comments on here, and there's one that I found extremely interesting. And I think this is going to sum it up like perfectly when it comes to the odds of this being legitimate.
I'm assuming it's this one in the middle. Doing some simple number crunching. First image, 181,000 duels at 90% win rate with 164,000 wins. Okay. Last image was, so it actually has more duels. Oh shit. Wow, it's actually getting even more duels. So it is getting rated. It looks like it's getting, like those numbers are getting botted to hell, dude. Because 181,000 to 225,000. That's, I mean, I'm no good with numbers, but let's see. That's like 40. Yeah, that's like 40,000 extra. And then it has 40,000 extra, dropping it down to probably all losing because that extra 40,000, like, again, if for it to drop that much, it has to be an insane amount of manipulation. So that 40,000 could very well, I don't know what percentage would that be of the actual voting. I mean, is it exactly 16%? It might be a little less, might be a little more. Either way. Uh, and then the win rate is this exact same, pretty much. It gets a little more. It gets a little more boost for win rates. So that means that it had extra duels, and all those duels that were coming in, it was losing.
Of this not being rigged by IGN. Doing some simple number crunching. This is from Nabro733 on YouTube. First image, 181,509 duels.
Good. That's a nice. That was a really fucking epic. What is it? Observation, nah, bro. Like Jesus, that is insane. I didn't even
0.4%
realize
win
that
rate,
myself.
164,084 wins. Last image, 225,206 duels, 74.4% win rate, 167,553 wins. So Wukong got 181,509 duels in days/weeks and have a 90.4% win rate. But in that 1 hour and 23 minutes, it got 43,697 duels with 3,469 wins, which is a 7.9% win rate.
Wait. That's a lot of numbers. In fact, he did the exact numbers that I was trying to do in my head. That is, I keep saying this, but what the actual fuck is that? Yeah, like that is just blatant manipulation right there.
Also, in that time span, all the other contenders don't have a significant increase in duels, other picture sources not shown in video, which is absurd because top/popular games should have similar probability to show up in real duels. So if Wukong is getting that many duels, others should too. In that hour and a half, Wukong got 20% of total duels of all time with a 7.9% win rate against non-top contender games. IGN wasn't even trying to hide the tampering, and I think that says it all right there.
Yeah, no, for sure.
They have had it out for this game, so it is very likely, very plausible to believe that they would rig their own poll to try and make this game seem less popular. Because again, how embarrassing would it be for IGN to write these hit pieces about game science, about Black Myth Wukong?
They don't want to have to take back what they said.
People from buying this game and supporting.
Well, not take it back. They don't have to acknowledge it.
Poll. But I'm gonna leave it right there, guys. Let me know what you think about all this stuff.
I'm sure there's more information that well, there might not be, but there might be more. There might not be. That comes out later on. However, from what I've seen and the evidence, I guess you could say, that has been presented, what you can tell from the numbers that you're being shown, because I mean, it's not like you're gonna get like an IGN like official or someone like that in the company saying, "Yeah, oh yeah, we tampered with the numbers for Black Myth Wukong." The only thing you can really get for evidence is the numbers themselves that we're looking at and how these rates kind of show that something is pretty cattywampus up in this shit. So I mean, that's a great video. A lot of good coverage. Good job from Minimal Effort. Go check out their videos for more. They do a lot of basically game news in the gaming industry and all that type of stuff. So check them out if you want to stay up to date on some of that information. But yeah, I'll catch y'all in the next one. All right. That was, I mean, that went a little longer than I expected, but that's also just because I really have such a, I don't know, this really rubs me the wrong way. Because we have something that is just clear and utter manipulation of a system in order to basically downplay, or not downplay, but discredit an indie group, basically, because they're not a big company. They're not some AAA game studio. We're talking about a company that is literally a couple of employees, I'm pretty sure. This is their first actual big game, and it did so good. And it's such a good story. For them to just trash it, basically almost kind of like for no reason, well, for their own biases, is ridiculous. So, yeah. We're gonna move on from this, though, onto something a little more lighthearted. Hey, what is up? You are an absolute legend if you made it this far in the video. I really appreciate it, and if you could just do me one more quick favor, hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really helps me out. I stream on Twitch Wednesdays to Saturdays, starting around 12 p.m. EST. And yeah, there's plenty of crazy unhinged madness that goes on over there too. So I hope to see you there, and I'll catch you in the next video.